So glad to welcome David Dodd. David Dodd in studio. We got to talk to him. He's with GeoVax's Labs, our new resident COVID expert. How are you? You know, I just want to let you know that if you hear a pencil scratching in the background while you're talking, it's Trace writing down your stock symbol. That's every time we talk about a company, he's like, I'm just putting my watch list, man. So just letting you know. First of all, welcome. I'm so glad you're in studio here. And of course, you may be watching us in New York City. You may be listening to us in Dallas, Texas. You may be listening to us across the country on American Forces, or watching us in your hometown. But we broadcast, as many of you know, from San Diego, California, which is a tech economy and a biotech economy, and that's what you're in San Diego for.
Yes.
Which is interesting because I was over at Torrey Pines Golf Course this weekend having breakfast, and boy, I saw a million of those badges. I knew there was something going on. GeoVax is a clinical stage biotech company with a COVID-19 vaccine. Let's take it from there. I'm going to let you reset this for people that missed you last time. Talk about that, because don't we already have vaccines? Aren't they perfect?
We already have vaccines. They are not perfect.
Okay, there you go.
No vaccine is perfect, let me just say, including ours. But what we have is a COVID-19 vaccine. It's different than the Pfizer or the Moderna or the J&J or the AstraZeneca in that we encode or incorporate into this vaccine two of the elements of the virus versus the others only incorporate one. And they're limited because of their technology. We're able to load in a lot of stuff if we want to. We actually have a three component. So we have one component, same thing that Moderna and Pfizer have, that produces an antibody response. The other component is intended to target T cells and create a very strong cellular immunity response. Cellular immunity is what typically clears a virus from the body. It's what gives durability. So what happens with the current vaccines, you get a very quick response, you get a strong protection, but it wanes rather rapidly.
And I'm assuming that's why I'm hearing about maybe a fourth booster for myself coming.
Fourth or fifth,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so we're testing specifically among patients who are immunocompromised. So they've gone through blood cancer. They've been treated with that. Their body does not produce much of an antibody response anymore. They may be dialysis patients.
Sure.
They have weakened immune systems.
Sure.
They may have certain type of leukemia. They have weak immune systems. All of those types of populations, multiple sclerosis, et cetera,
sure.
They represent approximately about 15 million people in the U.S. For whom the existing vaccines, the authorized vaccines, probably won't do much of a job for them. And so what we are testing right now in what's known as a phase 2 trial at City of Hope here in Southern California,
sure.
the LA area, at the City of Hope National Medical Center, is among compromised immune systems, people who've had certain blood cancers. We're doing a direct comparison against the Pfizer product, so 1-to-1. We're doing that because we believe, obviously, or we wouldn't be doing this,
sure.
is we believe we'll show equivalence in terms of the antibody response, but we'll show advantages and superiority in terms of durability and basically on the T cell side.
David, I want to bring up one thing. In the very beginning, when we were developing vaccines, there was some concern that things were being done too fast. And it turns out that more than anything, the technologies are well established in creating vaccines, and they're recognized by FDA authorities as sort of a standard. But what went on is those companies, rightly so, got to skip the line. That's typically 4 or 5 years or whatever. You guys are using the same technologies, but it's the secret sauce, so to speak, that's different. Is that accurate?
It's sort of accurate. What the Pfizer and the Moderna, that is brand new technology. It's never been in humans before, and we still don't really know what the long-term consequences. But you're correct. We use a technology that not only is well accepted and validated, they're actually approved products in our technology. In fact, the Strategic National Stockpile against monkeypox, the vaccine is based upon the same technology that we have. I recently put a communication out as could you have a single vaccine that protects against both COVID-19 and monkeypox in that one vaccine? The answer is probably so, because our technology is in fact approved already to protect against monkeypox. So it's a well-defined technology, extremely safe. You don't see the recent announcements you've been hearing about, some of the newer ones, about certain, although small levels, but it's cardiovascular conditions and all. I wouldn't say that the line was jumped. At the time, there was a great need to get something out there fast. Nothing is faster than mRNA, which is the basis of the Pfizer and the Moderna. So if you're going for speed and you want to produce hundreds of millions of doses, that's why you do it there. And instead of 10 years to 15 years, they did it in 10 months. I mean, it was incredible.
Now, would you have changed that if you were in charge? Would you have made changes in the way that the vaccines rolled out?
I wouldn't have made changes in the way I would. I think the concept of doing stuff in parallel instead of sequential, which has been traditional way, and trying to to accept certain risk and all, was the only way to get something out there. So I think that was good. What I would have done differently, and I recently co-authored a letter that was published in The Hill, and also a letter to the current head of Health and Human Services, because we still need additional funding to be able to move products faster through the queue. Now we're funding ours on our own.
Sure.
But Moderna received $2 billion from the government. As I've always said, if you'd have given me $2 billion, I'd have had a product out in 10 months. Johnson & Johnson got $2 billion from the federal government. Why do they need $2 billion? I mean, there's not much bigger than Johnson & Johnson. So we are advancing ours. Ours will as long as the science holds up, which we're seeing that it does, we'll get it out there. And what we're going to focus on is that niche market of people with compromised immune systems, because we know that the others can't meet that need.
Right.
And we can't compete with the big guys going after the billions of doses. I mean, they've got the resources to do that. So from that standpoint, I would say that it was good that we did the Operation Warp Speed concept. I think that drove stuff that we learned that you could actually do something in less than a year that we always had said takes 10 to 15 years at best. The fastest it ever been done was one time there was a 5-year roll, which was for the Ebola vaccine that was developed for Africa. But everything else takes 10 to 15 years. So from that, I think that was admirable, only way to get it done. I think what we should have done was looked at alternative technologies and better understand, or at
therapies,
least,
for example, or
therapies especially. But a lot of people don't know the federal government quit funding behind vaccines against COVID in August of 2020 because they were beginning to get information that said the Pfizer, the Moderna is going to probably work. So the purpose of this recent letter that I and a handful of others authored to Secretary Becerra, head of HHS, and then did this op-ed on the Hill, was to point out that it's not over yet. We're seeing new variants, as you well know. We have a publication coming out very soon that will basically lay out the data that shows that the vaccine that we have prevents against Omicron and Delta variants and all. So in certain animal models and either hamsters or even through non-human primates, so we believe we could show that in humans. So there's a continued need to keep this going, especially for people who are in these special groups.
For our radio audience, this is David Dodd, Chairman and CEO. The TV audience can see his graphics there, but he's the Chairman and CEO of GeoVax's Labs. They are publicly traded under the stock symbol GOVX. GOVX, you can go to geovax.com is their website. A question for you with respect to the existing COVID pandemic, because we're seeing, I mean, my daughter who has MS and just recently was diagnosed with it. We're seeing, we had a flare-up here a while ago with a few people. We're seeing it's still very much there, but is this now called endemic versus pandemic? Is that are we there yet? Have we transitioned from pandemic to endemic?
We probably have. Now, it's probably going to be more like the continuous flu season, is that we'll see continued variants evolve. Hopefully, we'll be able to move other vaccines forward so that these subgroups, these certain cohorts of populations, if you look at people, for instance, I heard Neil Cavuto speaking one day on the radio, and he was talking about, I have MS, I've been fully vaccinated, I also have to take the monoclonal antibodies. That's sort of standard for certain populations. We think we can provide a better vaccine for someone with MS who may still have to take therapeutics, but to give them a broader response and more durable response.
David, last question. Pre-COVID, you guys were still a company.
Yes.
What were you working on?
Pre-COVID, we were actually, we'd been working on the hemorrhagic fever, so Ebola in that category, but we were beginning a strategic shift into cancer immunotherapy. And we also have a phase 2 trial right now of a product. It's in multi-sites. It's in Palo Alto, Stanford, Emory, and Thomas Jefferson in basically treating advanced head and neck cancer. So we were pivoting to go more towards immuno-oncology with our vaccine technology rather than to stay focused in some of the infectious disease. COVID hit, and literally for us it provided a great opportunity for us to apply our technology, because our idea was do additional proteins and have a longer lasting vaccine.
Do you have anything for like a cancerous personality? I didn't mean to gesture.
No,
I was just gesturing with my left hand.
Are you working on anything for Sullypox?
Well, I'm doing an interview tomorrow on monkeypox.
There you go, same thing. Yeah, same thing. David, you're welcome to the studio anytime. We're going to definitely have you back via Zoom.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming. The name of the company, GeoVax. GeoVax Labs, Inc. GeoVX is the stock, so we'll go to geovax.com. More Big Biz coming up. Stand by.